Namaste, welcome to Global Perspectives. With us today we have Professor Walter Wong. Mr. Wong has over 5 decades of experience as a practicing production mechanical engineer, an academician, researcher, having traveled to Australia, worked in United States of America, United Kingdom, Malaysia, Norway, and many different parts of the world. Dr. Wong has served as Vice Chancellor of 3 different universities globally and is presently the Director of CISI, a professional consulting for education institutions and manufacturing and service industry. Let's talk to him today. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you.
A glance at your career, sir. You graduated from University of Melbourne and later you moved to London, University of Birmingham for your PhD in mechanical engineering. In 2004, you decided to retire from Woodall University as a Vice Chancellor. And again in 2016, you are Vice Chancellor of University of Georgia. You have been a busy man, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. That's life.
Where does this energy in you come from? How do you maintain that? What's the inspiration?
Inspiration is very simple. I enjoy what I do, and I love my teaching and learning profession, especially dealing with young people.
You travel from Australian subcontinent to Southeast Asia and to Europe and United States of America, mainly teaching, first learning, then mentoring many students. What I see is amazing example for young graduates as a career example. How much of this was planned?
Well, after my first graduation, I worked in industry for about 11 or 12 years. It was quite interesting in my career. At that time, I was working with a company known as Netafos that make bolts and nuts. One day, the company received a phone call from an institution in Melbourne saying that we are looking for someone, a speaker, to speak only on one topic that will last for about 4 to 5 weeks. And the topic is in the area of work study. In the American terminology is known as time and motion study. So I went there and gave a talk, for about 5 weeks. At the end of the year, I received a phone call from the head of a department from mechanical engineering, the late Dr. Patricia, and then they said, "Hi, we have a vacancy in my department. Though you work for us for only a few weeks, but we received very good report about you. Would you like to join us?" So I had to think about it. Now, I think it's important to go back to a bit of my childhood days. I was surrounded by all my uncles and aunties who were teachers, so that makes a bit of difference. So, although by that time I had about 11 years of industry experience, so I picked the challenge. I went to teach for 2 years, then I discovered really I enjoy. And I could see we are producing the future leaders for the nation. At that time, I didn't have a PhD, I only have a bachelor degrees. So as a result, I tendered my resignation. I went to England to study MSc degree in production engineering. My bachelor degree is in mechanical. And after I finished at Exeter University, I received a scholarship to go to Birmingham. That's why I read for my doctoral degree in the field of mechanical engineering. So I've been switching mechanical, production, mechanical. Thereafter, I did not return to work in industry because I got a job offer in Australia in a lecturing position. Since that time, I have been in teaching and learning and of course research. My own opinion is that teaching and learning and research are inseparable. So from that time onwards, I had a lot of opportunity for every sabbatical leave. I took the opportunity to go to US, go to Europe and different countries. So for many, many years, I've even worked in Australia altogether 20 years, but in other countries 25 years, across United States, UK, Europe. I have even worked in developing countries like Papua New Guinea. I think when you have the passion and the love for the job you want to do, I truly enjoy my work. And to see the greatest reward for an academician is on the day of graduation, to see my student graduating and turn out to be professional. Biggest reward that no money can buy. And you feel that you have contributed something. I always feel that before I close my eyes one day, at least I'm happy I have made contribution of significance. So that's why I still continue my work.
I'll stress more on university education, sir.
Sure.
You have been in the Malaysia's Ministry of Higher Education Committee of Academic Program Accreditation. When we talk about quality control, what set of new skills do you think the new graduates of future need to have?
I think I'm an engineer by profession. In my own profession, I've never received any complaint from employers who say that I don't produce good engineers. The only complaint always has been they cannot communicate, they don't write good report. In other words, today the terminology is known as soft skill. That's missing. Of course, not to lose sight the traditional discipline, because the fundamentals are very important. In an academic institution, you touch upon quality, two things come into my mind. One is must have high quality teaching and learning. The second one is we must have excellent, is the word, student experiences. So we want them to come to academic institution to have fun, to enjoy the learning process. And plus, we embark on research right from day one, and the skills that they must have today, not just theoretical. Quality to me means two things. As I say, teaching and learning. The other one is to provide excellent student experience.
When we look at the manufacturing service industry, there has been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, AI, and automation. How much do you think this will have an effect in future in the white collar, blue collar jobs and the manufacturing job market?
We embarked onto this some 20 or 30 years ago. Automation serves two purposes. Depends on the type of manufacturing processes. In the processing industry, like even in the brewery, Coca-Cola, and of course needed to talk about the mining type. So automation has a role to play. The other area which automation really have an important role to play is working in a hazardous environment. Even apply to the police force, dismantling of a bomb and things like that. But in the agriculture also, all right, picking of fruits, sorting out of the eggs. Of course, the automation process would include vision and things like that. This role, I could not think of automation truly could replace human being. Now, today, we talk a lot about even applying automation processes in a hospital. One thing they can never replace is you and I have emotion. Robots don't have emotion. And you and I have feelings. Robots don't have feelings. If we require 24 hours manufacturing processes for very obvious reason, because of productivity that is required, that will bring the unit cost down. That's one place automation will play a big role. So in manufacturing industry, automation has a greater role to play rather than services industry, because services industry, whether it be banking, you serve in the airline, on the cruise, I think the human touch has to be there.
Dr. Wong, when I look at your career, it's like when we talk about mechanical engineering, it's more about complex problem-solving capabilities, more of coordinated multitasking. You have been a technical person, but at a point of time in your career, you also shifted towards the managerial role as a vice chancellor. How did you take this shift in your career?
I did not jump straight away to become vice chancellor, but I became head of a department when I was 39 years old. That's considered to be young in those days. At that time, I happened to be in Papua New Guinea to be head of mechanical engineering department. Working in developing country, it's very challenging, very exciting for me, and at the end, certainly very rewarding. For a very simple reason, you have nobody to turn to, you run everything yourself. At that time, in Papua New Guinea, they set up the 4th national university right from start. Now, before I accepted the job, I could continue for another new contract in Queensland. But I thought to build a new university is truly exciting. You don't get many chances to do that. So I took the challenge. Indeed, I never regretted. Why? For simple reason. Number one, Papua New Guinea is a developing country, and to see the local people, I could say, is of significance. It's really no money can buy. Now, I have a chance there to do everything. During construction, I'm like one of them, wearing a helmet and then inspect. I talk with government at all levels, all the way to Prime Minister, which I would never get in Australia. And of course, I also talk to a layperson, the industry. So this gives me a different perspective, right? Basically, at first I thought it was administrative work. Indeed, it's not. It's leadership is the key, right? Everyone, in fact, I want to give this message to the young people in particular. Everyone has a leadership role. It's how you display your initiative. You must have the initiative. The things you want to do has to come from your heart. That's your passion. and one has to work hard. There's nothing can be successful without working hard. So these are the messages I want to give to young people.
When you like 50 years back, or maybe over like 6 decades, I would say, when you started, from then to now, like there have been a lot of like technological changes. Like today we have like a mini supercomputer as our mobile phones in our hands.
Of course, of course.
So how you have adapted to this change, and what do you think the future generations, should they plan for this shifting change in their future?
If we want to succeed, if we want to survive, we have to adapt to changes. Changes is inevitable. Now, that change is not just myself, depends where you are. For a developing country, the government plays a major role. That's why leadership is so important. One can have, like, for example, I have to go back to Papua New Guinea. You see, the local people are so happy. They are very happy because it's volcanic soil. Anything they throw, it grows. They want to fish, go to the ocean, they catch. Never worry. Very happy people. We bring in television. We bring in car. All right? They walk for miles, never complain. Of course, now that they have cars, they have bicycles, they have motorcycles, they have cars, you can see, all right? So the country leader has to decide what kind of life they want. I'm not saying that following the Western is all the good, and I'm not saying our own traditional life is bad, not necessarily. It depends what you want. As I get older, I begin to go back to more natural type of life. In fact, I'm quite happy. One thing I learned during one of my sabbatical leave in Norway, I worked with the top man who developed the CNC machine tools. Brilliant is the word. But he had a cottage up in the mountain. Okay, he took me to his cottage, no water. As you know, in Norway, a lot of snow. We use the snow, bring water, we share the pool of water, brushing, washing. I asked him, why do you want to do that? He said, only when I leave, go back to my primitive living, then I appreciate the importance of technology. That's why I excel. But not to forget, every now and then we return to the primitive life. We have to care for the people that are among us, to bring them equal happiness. If we replace everything with technology and make those people miserable, we are doing disservice to the world. I always remember that. That's why, to answer your question,
I think there's so much of message in this question, not only for the present and future.
Sure.
Years. Like there's nature, there's about planning for the future, and where do you want to go. Everything is there. Now, to ask the answer, as a young person who wants to get into manufacturing or a service industry, how should he start? Like have the end in mind, or just go ahead?
I'm a person who go with the flow. Sometimes it all depends on timing, opportunity. You happen to be at the right place at the right time, you can excel a lot faster than somebody who happened to enter in the wrong timing. That's something I believe. I'm a Christian myself. I believe in God. I also believe for me, it appears my path has been mapped out. For example, after I retire, I never expect to return to work in Malaysia. Somehow I do it. I never expect to marry again. Somehow it happens. So because I believe God is a path, there's a plan for me. For the young people, you can plan. We must plan what we want to do. The first step is very important. The first job. I'm that sort of person. The first job, I don't look at the salary. Anyone who wants to employ me in my own discipline, I'm very happy to do it. I just want to give my very best. If you be prepared to work hard and support all the good principles, right, I think you go afar. Because it does not take long for a company to find out how good you are or how not so good you are, and so on like this. Whenever there's a new opportunity, seize it. Money is secondary. For me, it is really. It's a challenge that I find. And then you keep on going there. Today, I don't think we can plan really beyond the 10-year period. I try to plan 5 years because with the changes in technology, changes with new management practices, the Z generation is going to be very different from the Y. The Y is already very different from the X. For example, in our time, the retention of learning is 45 minutes. Today, the student learning retention rate is only 15 minutes. If I can't teach him or her or excite him or her during the 15 minutes, I will have lost. Because today, information are readily available. In engineering, if I want the best material, I just go to MIT website or some other reputable university, whether Oxford, Cambridge, or the best one in India, for example. Okay, I have the information. It's changing so rapid that you cannot plan. Today, you look at the mobile computing, for example. Our lifestyle completely changed. Now, today, you look at departmental store. e-retailing has taken over. You look at hotels, with this so-called A, B and B. So these are some of the things changing so rapidly. So planning beyond 5 years is difficult today. Now for survival, we need to adapt to change. It goes without saying. If you don't, you fall behind. I think that's a very simple message.
I think it has been personally enriching for me. It was like a very wonderful talking to you, sir. From a technician to management leader to a wonderful person. You talked about time, patience. It's been a wonderful talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, for me, sharing is wonderful. We should always share, and we can always learn together. It's just that I'm a lot older than you. I have that opportunity to have the additional experience that you don't have. But it's equally wonderful talking to you, and I do enjoy it. And thank you very much.